afternoon, viewers. Welcome to ABN TV Political Perspective. My name is Ifan Kale. Today, we have a House of Rep member representing Ipuamo, Umuahia North and South Federal Constituency, Honorable Chief Sam Ifeanyi Chukwu Onuigbo, well, popularly known as Odozi Obodo. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers.
I'm Representative Samuel Ifeanyi Chukwu Onuigbo. People call me Odozi Obodo. I'm from Onuigbo, local government. I attended community primary school, Onuigbo, and Onuigbo Secondary Commercial School, DK. Then I proceeded to Dualization College of Education, Owerri, graduated from there, served 83-84, and worked as a teacher. And before I joined the private sector, from where I joined the US Embassy, where I worked for nearly 18 years, and resigned on my own honor, with several meritorious honors awards. And from there, I worked as special advisor in public affairs to the then Speaker of the 6th Assembly, His Excellency Right Honorable Dimeji Bakole. Before I came to Abia State, when Senator T.O.G. appointed me as Commissioner for Lands and then later Commissioner for Finance. And from there, I now ran an election to represent the good people of the great Ipuano, Umuahia North, Umuahia South Federal Constituency. So people have asked me about education and other, professionally and otherwise. We thank God that we've been able to attend certain heights. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, London, and also a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management. I attended courses at the Harvard Leadership School, Kennedy School of Government, and also at the University of Lagos and the Enugu State University of Science and Technology, and so many other, the U.S. Foreign Service Institute, and so many other organizations where, by the grace of God, one had the opportunity to enhance what one is doing, how one is representing.
All right, we have some few questions to ask our honorable member here with us. We want to start with, sir, you have been in the House of Representatives since 2015. Now are in the Senate. What do you want to achieve in the Senate that you couldn't achieve in the reps?
Well, thank you very much indeed. Yes, I've been in the House of Representatives. I was elected in 2015. And in 2019, by the special grace of God, I was re-elected. Again, to the glory of God, the first person to be so re-elected in this federal constituency since return to political politics from 1999 to date. So I have represented well, and I recall very clearly that when I was consulting, I went to over 285 homes in Igwe and Umuahia North and Umuahia South Federal Constituency. And in my interactions with leaders, I told them I was going to represent this great federal constituency based on the acronym of EAR, which stands for effectiveness, accessibility, and responsiveness. I did add that I will attempt to redefine representation. So if you put together my years of representation and juxtapose that against, by the special grace of God, the accomplishments that I have recorded, you will then find that it's not necessarily a question of what I couldn't achieve in the reps. The reps, I represent 3 local governments, but for Abia Central, it is 6 local governments. So if you have service in your mind, you would always want to find opportunity to continue to serve. So I will continue to deepen and broaden those wonderful things, wonderful and known accomplishments that I have recorded in representing the good people of Great Iguanomai, I would like to broaden and extend that to Abia Central. And there are many, and except if you want me to start naming them here.
I wish.
You would like
I
me
wish
to?
if you can just give you a little.
All right, maybe. Okay, let me start from first. After I go to the House of Representatives, before and during the campaigns, the road from Umuahia, Iguano to Kotebini had failed, in that several sections were totally impassable, forcing commuters to look for ways and means to cut out those areas. And in fact, it even affected Okada riders. That's put pressure on me because the R aspect of the EAR is responsiveness, your ability to be able to respond to the legitimate, concerns and aspirations of your constituents. So I moved the motion on the 21st of May, 2016. And in that motion, I specifically requested for federal government's intervention. But I didn't wait for the bureaucratic flow of whatever resolution that was passed in the House. I now visited the minister on the 14th of June, 2016, where I presented to him the terrible, deplorable, and impassable state of that road. The Honorable Minister of Works and House, Babatunde Rajafashola, SIN, saw with me that the road had indeed failed. And there and then, he called his most senior engineer, then Engineer Baladanshe, who has now retired, to take note of my presentation. And he directed that FEMA should be called in to carry out palliative work. And then that federal government was going to do the total reconstruction of the road as I requested. Because we were tired of the annual ritual of palliative works on that road for decades. So he said they were going to do that. And then finally he asked the coordinating engineer to put in the letter they were going to give to me as commitment of the federal government to do that. And with that, content in the letter, one, to call FEMA, to direct FEMA to intervene immediately, and then committing the federal government to, doing a total reconstruction of the road. And the minister, in his wisdom, asked the coordinating engineer to write in that letter that this honorable member should be commended for having the interest of his constituency at heart. That letter is dated the 15th of June, 2016, and it was delivered to me. And I showed it to, my leaders and all that. And following that, we were able to do the palliative work. We started, which we flagged off on the 16th of December, 2016, and it was completed early 2017. But I did not stop there because I had to persevere, in trying to get that road properly done. And until the road was awarded for total reconstruction in 2019. However, paucity of fund became a problem. And by his grace, I was able to do a number of letters, putting forward suggestions, either we use cook and all that. All these are contained in my letters. I wrote nearly 15 letters to the ministry on this matter. So the minister, working with the Federal Executive Council, was now able to transfer the reconstruction of this road to the NNPC Road Tax Credit Scheme. And that's why work has resumed on that road, and they're doing a fantastic job.
All right, still on Abia Central Senatorial District. It has been a stronghold of PDP since the return of democracy. Well, no opposition has won the district since 1999. How do you intend to break this jinx?
Well, from 1999 to now, in fact, if you go back to 1998 when we started the PDP and to this point, by 2023, the party would have had power here for 24 unbroken years. And in each of the period that election held, everyone was saying, oh, vote PDP all the way. Vote PDP all the way. But we have voted PDP all the way from 1999 to now. My question to you is, can you convincingly stack up the achievements of PDP in these 24 years and juxtapose that against the length of time, which is 1 year less than a quarter of a century? So the people of the state are wise people. They've seen enough of, all the way. They've seen enough of that. You voted all the way for 24 years. Like I said, 1 year short of a quarter of a century. And you cannot see the visible effects on the ground. What you see is that pensioners are owed. And you know, when you owe a pensioner, you are deliberately or consciously pushing him close to his grave. Then you talk about payment of salaries for teachers. It's not being paid. Then you proceed to talk about gratuities. That is not even being discussed. Of course, in some other states that are even younger than Abia State, for instance, Ebonyi State, you would see the infrastructural development on ground. Question, can you find that? So if you want to ask and talk about the patience that the people of Abia Central and indeed the entire Abia State, they have exercised in voting all the way for this number of years without verifiable, corresponding pieces of, achievement to match the years, then you would then agree with me that this place is ripe for these mature people, having been practicing this for 24 years, to say, okay, let's try something different. You cannot continue with something that is not working well for you and say, I want to continue along that line. Nobody does that. So I'm convinced that they will actually vote for the APC and they will vote for me, because for me in particular, you have verifiable pieces of achievements that I've been able to attain, even though I'm not in the executive branch. My business as a legislator is to make laws, participate in oversight functions, and do representation. But because this is a developing nation, so you have that duty, abiding duty, to ensure that you help to bring about infrastructural development, empowerment programs to make life better for your people, because we have not attained the level of development by the developed countries where legislators, busy themselves purely with the basic functions of a legislator. So the things that I've been able to do, if you want to talk about erosion control at Amankwe-Zeleke, Amachara, that I facilitated. And it cost federal government hundreds of millions to do that. And at the completion, Mr. President was so impressed that he sent out a minister to come and commission it on his behalf. Senator Heineken Lokobri represented Mr. President at the commission. I was also able to facilitate another erosion control work at Okoboro, which is a road leading between Obo Ibe and Ogwe. And at completion, the president again sent out Professor Eyitayo, who was Minister of State, Niger Delta, to come and commission that. So you don't even want to talk about the skills acquisition at Apomini Obakana, which I facilitated. That's over 120 million naira project, and it's at its final completion. If you want me to name, I'll talk about the blocks of classrooms at Amaboboro, block of classrooms at Umuajata Olokoro, block of classrooms at Umutowe Olokoro, blocks of classrooms at Nsirimo Obakana, blocks of classrooms at Urumwai, block of classrooms at Afugri Girls, or what you call Adama Girls, block of classrooms at Ekebedi Community School, block of classrooms at Umolo Iberi. And of course, you talk about transformers, electricity projects that I facilitated. Those are numerous. The other day I went to Isalawa North to consult with the delegates. They looked at the list and they said they saw the documentary the day I declared. And they have no doubt whatsoever that I'll be able to extend these goodies to their own part. But I'm not making claims of what cannot be verified. I'm making claims that can be verified and are out there. As my people would say, this is not fumigation. This is verifiable projects that we're talking about. So with these clear accomplishments and my strong representation in the House, I don't even want to talk about what happened at Moayu, when courses were delisted. And I moved the motion. I did not only move the motion to ensure that those courses were restored. We moved it to the committee stage, and JAM, National Universities Commission, was invited. The 3 vice chancellors from all the universities of agriculture were invited. We pursued that relentlessly, vigorously, until the federal government was now, pushed to come back and reaccredit those courses. If you go to Michael Okra University of Agriculture today, you wouldn't find that those courses have been restored. Now, there are 2 advantages for that effort. One, to ensure that our children access education, a good number of them, because it's to our disadvantage when they don't have that opportunity. Then the other advantage is that those who had invested millions of naira there in building hostels, they saw their investments going west. But now that the children are coming back, you discover that they begin to receive return on their investment within that environment. So it's a difficult thing to start talking about what I've been able to do in this number of years and why I think that this should be extended to the other part of Abia Central.
All right, not taking you back again, you said something about PDP all the way. I think then, 2015, you are part of the PDP. So,
yes.
Are you not a part of the other ways?
No, the way you see part of the other ways separated from me is juxtapose my accomplishments against the number of years I've stayed serving the people. And then you again check it with maybe what you could refer to as maybe my personal worth. You now see that that's the difference between exercising leadership for the good of the people and those who pretend that they're exercising leadership when indeed they're engaging in personal aggrandizement. I make no pretense about that. I've represented well, and I'm not just arrogating it to myself. That is being supported by the accomplishments that are on ground and that are verifiable.
All right.
Yes.
We have numerous projects. Has been linked to visionary representation in the past 7 years, such that it's not seen in other federal constituencies, including Abia. Okay, what's the magic word?
The magic word is simple and straightforward. What is your understanding of leadership? That's the magic one. If your understanding of leadership is that, look, people who are as big as Ifeanyi Okali, thousands of them.
Am I big?
Yeah, thousands of them have come out in the sun and yielded that the power that equally qualified academically, educationally. Some of them have higher educational qualifications than you. Some are so rich that if it were in the days of slavery, they probably would buy a few of us. But they still yielded their position. Very expensive responsibility. They yielded their position and said, okay, let some Onuigbo represent us. That's a burden on your head. That's the magic one, my interpretation of that. Because I understand that. I'm an ordinary local boy. But look at this federal constituency, one of the most powerful federal constituencies in Nigeria. A federal constituency that produced Michael Ihonokarobara, a developmental wizard that did great things, that listed the Eastern region, the then Eastern region, as one of the fastest developing regions in the world. In the system, the record is there. The same place produced late General J.T. University, the first head of state team, produced governors, not one, governors. If you want to start from, let's say, Meko Omero is from this federal constituency. If you want to talk about Paul Omero, he's also from this constituency. If you want to talk about Senator T.A. Hodge, he's also from this constituency. And of course, you have the Okonjo Iwealas. Her husband is from here. You can't count them. David Bulafo, Doyemu Gochukwu. You cannot count the people, the generals we have here and other. So, you have a duty, if you are representing such a great people, to work extra hard so that they will not have any reason to say, oh, we regret sending this person to Abuja. And that's why I said when I was consulted that I will represent based on the acronym of EAR, effectiveness on the floor, of the House of Representatives. Also, effectiveness when we sit in committees, just like I talked about the issue of Michael Opera, University of Agriculture, where courses were delisted, and I moved the motion to fight the delisting. Then you talk about effectiveness in facilitating projects that have the potential to impact meaningfully and productively on the well-being of your people. So, and I did say that I will attempt to redefine representation so that we can move it away from the prism of, oh, that hotel belongs to the rep, that skyscraper belongs to the rep, oh, the long convoy is for the rep, to what you have used that to do to impact on the well-being of the thousands of people that queued in the sun or in the rain to vote you to power. That's the magic word.
All right, we'll take a short break and we'll come back later.
ABN is at it again. It's time for the Revisible and Political Leadership Project evidence in Nigeria. Get ready for the most detailed online TV and radio program tagged Operation Show Your Project. Operation Show Your Project. Showing every Thursday 11 a.m. on ABN TV and radio. Operation Show Your Project is the authentic platform for all elected and appointed leaders in politics at all levels to showcase their accomplishments within the period in office. For project documentation and production, contact us today on 0816-634-7017. On 0816-634-7017. Operation Show Your Project comes up every Thursday at 11 a.m. on ABN TV and radio. Be part of the testimony.
The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja.
Welcome back again, ABN TV Political Perspective. See, my name is Ifeanyi Kali, and with me here is the Honorable Member representing Ukwana Maya North and South Federal Constituency. Well, sir, the leadership crisis in Abia State, chapter of your party, the APC, which has led to factionalization, has remained as issue for concern. Okay, do you foresee a parallel primary election? Will it affect the chances of the APC in the state?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, there was a crisis in the party because there were groups, that struggled for control of the party. Today, that has been resolved. Resolved in that after the World Congresses, the local government Congress, the state Congress, we elected a chairman, then who later died, being Habo. And after his death, the national headquarters of the party still gave approval for a special Congress to be held to elect a new chairman. And a new chairman was elected, and his name is Dr. Kingsley Onuigbo. And after the election, we proceeded, was given certificate of return and everything. And we proceeded to do the convention, which is where all other elections are ratified and confirmed. So we had that convention successfully, led by Dr. Kingsley Onuigbo. So with that, anything about factionalization and all that has come to an end. However, when people engage in struggles and maybe one group has finally been confirmed, both through the convention and through multiple court cases that were filed by the opposing group. And at the end of the day, the court dismissed these cases and affirmed the leadership of Dr. Onuigbo. So having reached that level, where the election of Dr. Onuigbo or the Dr. Onuigbo-led leadership of APC in Abia was affirmed both by the courts and through convention, I think it's a settled matter. What was actually left was for some kind of dialogue to make sure that nobody has the feeling of being left behind. And I think that has also been tidied up. However, I do not think that this will affect the chances of the party in the forthcoming elections. Reason being that the people of the state are wise enough to know what has served them well. Like I said a while ago, if you have been doing something for 24 years and you cannot see positive impact of that, I think we are wise enough. This state is a state of very wise people. I've listed individuals, few, not even, I did not exhaust the list of individuals from this state that have exercised productive and meaningful leadership at different levels of life, locally, nationally, and internationally. So we're wise people. We've seen enough of all the way for this number of years. And I'm sure that the Abia people are tired of what has been happening to them. And therefore, they would gladly welcome APC, especially under the leadership of High Chief Ikechi Emenike, who is a credible man, a hard-working man. The man was publishing for IMF and World Bank for nearly 35 years now, without blemish. So we need individuals who have records that they have established and who are conscious of that record, that they do not want to dent it, due to either their struggle for personal aggrandizement or maybe to line the pockets of either members of their family or their friends and all that. So this is why I am hopeful and I still appeal to them. I have told people, during my consultations, you've done something, you come and you say you voted. After 4 years, you cannot say, okay, these and that are things that we can point and say, this is our achievement after 4 years. And then another 4 years, you do the same. But then when you put Abia side by side with few other states, you see that the development index here is so disappointing and so troubling for a state that is peopled by this caliber of people that we know, either in the academics, in business, or even in politics. So I think we deserve better, and APC stands a good chance of a very great chance of winning in the next election, because the people have come to the realization that they cannot continue to do the same thing over decades, almost a quarter of a century, without a commensurate result.
All right. Also, you have been talking about the federal secretariat at different interviews.
Yes.
In the ones we monitor. What is the situation now?
Well, I don't know the situation now, but yes, I've talked about federal secretariat because, by the grace of God, I facilitated one by getting the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Rajafashola, to commit to building one for Abia on the 23rd of October 2019 during a budget defense session. I had to pin him down to ask him why Abia was not captured as one of the states with a federal secretariat. Whether you wanted to judge it based on alphabetical order, which Abia is number one, or if you wanted to judge it based on the age of the state, which Abia is clearly older than 6 other states. But how come that some of these states that Abia is older than, like Gombe, Nasarawa, and a few other ones, that they have federal secretariat where we don't have one? The minister was kind enough to explain to the committee during that defense session that look, that the state had land that was originally meant for a federal secretariat, but that the land was encroached upon. He then challenged me to work with my governor to provide land, and that once land was provided, that he will come and build a federal secretariat for Abia State because it is our entitlement. So on the strength of that commitment by the Honorable Minister, I had to do a letter on the 23rd of October 2019, which I showed to the governor on the 25th of October 2019. And the governor appeared excited, when I presented that letter, because he quickly dictated a letter to one of his aides, Sam Hart, who took the dictation, produced the letter, and the governor signed. And I assured him that I would deliver the letter. And I did deliver the letter. And then 2 weeks after, which is the 6th of November, I went there to follow up with the minister. The minister said yes, that he had indeed read the letter, but that the governor said he had the intention to provide land. And I should go back and tell him that he would not like to deal with the intention, that he wanted land to enable them moving. So, and I conveyed that to the governor. So we followed up. It took about a year before the then commissioner, Laji Suleiman Okan, and all that, now wrote a letter saying they had found land somewhere. And that letter was dated the 20th of September 2020, nearly 1 year after the first interaction. So I had thought that everything was in place. But when I met with the minister again on the 11th of March 2021, the minister now revealed that the state government was yet to provide the title documents, the CFO and the survey plan. And unless these documents were provided, that they cannot step into the land. On the strength of that statement by the minister, I wrote another letter to the governor, dated the 12th of March, which I passed through his deputy governor. It was acknowledged. And I appealed to him to intervene to ensure that all that was needed, in this case, title documents, were provided, so we could get what is due us as a state, with immense benefits for you to have a federal secretariat. So I've been following up since then. And from that first letter I wrote on the 23rd, and the one that I wrote on the 12th of March, also I've done another letter, which I did in February of this year, following up, appealing to the state government to do that. I was even impressed when I spoke with the traditional ruler that is in control of the area, Ezenwokonna. I found that they were gracious enough to reduce how much there was due them based on the calculation by Ministry of Land as compensation for economic crops, which was 35 million. Now he graciously, reduced that to 25 million and put it in writing, but all till now, it's difficult for me to know exactly what is still holding the state government from providing this title document and then allowing the federal government to come in and build for us the federal secretary. In fact, Victor George, who is the director of housing from Federal Ministry of Works, but who is here in Abia, he's been going to the office of the SH like, he's going to the stream to get water. But up until now, we've missed about 3 budget cycles since we started this. So I'm hoping that they will do the needful and allow the people of Abia State to have a federal secretariat that has immense benefits of employment for junior staff, benefits of contributing to the economic development of the place, benefit of making sure that you have ease of doing business. Because you get into the federal secretariat, you can now deal with any federal agency that is so situated. And of course, the benefit of saving us the idea of allocating plots of land to different agencies. We haven't got land. We are a land challenge state. So I'm hoping that they will do the needful. So that's where the much I know about that project right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable. Well, there was a mention of the dualization of the road from Amachara to Onuigbo, about 16 kilometers.
Yes.
And the reconstruction of Omaya, Iguano, Ikotebene Federal Road.
Yes.
Are these same project or are they different?
Oh, they are 2 different projects.
Okay.
There are 2 different projects because I followed through on both of them. The one from Umuahia, Iguano to Ikotebene, the reconstruction. That's the one that I told you about that I started the journey, on the 21st of May through emotion, 21st of May 2016, and then followed up by visiting the minister on the 14th of June 2016. And I requested for total reconstruction of the road to stop the idea of patching the road, which I refer to as an annual ritual of palliative work. So that, I did letters to support that. And the ministry sent out people to come here and carry out surveillance from here to Ekotebe. And that road was eventually awarded. However, a different one, and I want to emphasize that, is the road, a project by the federal government to do a flyover from Amacha to Asa. And then from Asa, you would have a dualized road from there to, they call it Onuigbo. But indeed, where that road is supposed to terminate is at the Catholic Church, Amawo, because I followed everything they did, the consultancy and all that. So these are two different projects. On the issue of the dualization, we will be waiting and praying for when funds is available, because the consultants have finished and that design and everything is with the federal government as we speak. So that has not been awarded. But that is intended to open up and give you a good impression that you are coming into a state capital. Because what you have from Osa to Government House Omuaya, that is road demarcation. That is not road dualization. Because if you are driving through that road, of course, you find it difficult to overtake.
Even sometimes the bank customers.
So you now see the importance of giving such a first lift and reducing the traffic, bottleneck around that Amachara Osa axis, which of course so many of us have indeed experienced in the past. So that's a completely different project. That one is supposed to start from Amachara there, have a flyover to Osa, and then have a dualized road from Osa to that Catholic Church, but they refer to it as Omodike Dualization Project. I have a letter to that effect addressed to me, sent to me. And because I followed everything that happened there, and when the consultants came on several locations, I hosted them. So I can talk about it with some level of confidence. So that one is a separate road. We are hoping and believing that sometime in the future, federal government, they will find the money to be able to award that and do dualization. But the one that is ongoing right now, that they have commenced the reconstruction, is the Umahia, equal as a whole, and then down to about 52 or 53 kilometers road. So that they have commenced. And if you take time to go from Doru to Okwe, going to Isiala, you will then see that work is ongoing there at a massive scale.
Nigerians will say, Mr. Climate Change. Well, sir, are you a member of this committee, climate change, or are you the chairman of the climate change committee member?
Okay, thank you for the question. I am currently the president of GLOBE. GLOBE stands for Global Legislators Organization for a Balanced Environment. The president of GLOBE in Nigeria. I'm also the vice president of GLOBE International. That is for Africa. As the highest ranking person in Africa of that organization. In addition, I am the chairman of Climate Parliament, which is another international organization that is concerned with issues of climate change, with special focus on renewable energy and other areas. That is that. However, in the 8th Assembly, 2015, I chaired the House Committee on Climate Change. And then I sponsored the bill on climate change. The bill went through all the processes that it was supposed to go through in the National Assembly, was transmitted, but Mr. President declined assent. So when, by the special grace of God, I was re-elected, I responsored the bill. And this time, we had to do wider consultation to include the Ministry of Justice, the Minister of Environment, and of course to also pay a visit to the office to meet with Mr. Vice President and so many other individuals to make sure that everybody was on board. So eventually, Mr. President has sent into that bill on the 17th of November 2021. And being a bill that has far-reaching impacts, locally, nationally, and internationally, that's why they refer to me now as the father of climate change act in Nigeria. So that's been my modest contribution. And of course, I have always been, I've been around on this issue of climate change since I was elected, because I went with Mr. President to Paris in 2015 when the Paris Agreement on climate change was passed. And when Mr. President assented to the Paris Agreement on climate change, I was also with him in New York, the United Nations headquarters. And that was on September 22nd, 2016. When we went for COP in Marrakesh, Morocco, I was also with Mr. President. By then, John Kerry, who is the Special Envoy on Climate Change now, was the Secretary of State of the United States government. So I've been involved in this issue of climate change, and that's probably why, in recognition of these contributions, so many international organizations, whether it's the Climate Parliament or GLOBE or even the National Assembly, they've written letters of commendation. And the National Assembly Press Corps followed it up with an award on the Dean of Bills, because they regard this as a far-reaching, bill on climate change. In addition, the National Union of Journalists also gave me an award on this bill. The same thing with the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and then Nnamdi Azikiwe University. And of course, the climate change community in Nigeria. So when they refer to me as father of climate change, it is not just for the fun of it. I think it's in recognition of my modest contribution towards the resolve of Nigeria to tackle the devastating effects of climate change.
All right, thank you, Honorable. And before we go, we would like you to talk to your delegates. We know this week is for your primaries. So talk to your delegates, talk to them so that they can listen to you, right?
Well, I want to appeal to the delegates of the APC that will vote to elect the APC candidates for Abia Central Senatorial District for our elections in 2023. I want to appeal to them to vote wisely, to support me. I've spoken to very many of them, and they were present during my declarations, and they saw the documentary, and they saw that the things that have been associated with me, but have been credited to me as my achievements, that these are things that are verifiable. But apart from that, they also know that I've done some empowerment programs that have helped to remove a lot of young people from the unemployment, field. So they have these things, and they know I've represented well, and that's why I'm appealing to them to allow me to be able to represent at a higher pedestal, to continue, with my good work, and to deepen and to broaden good representation.
All right, thank you very much. Don't forget, this is ABN TV Political Perspective. My name is Ifeanyi Okale, while honorable member representing Kwama Umahia North and South Federal Constituency, Honorable Chief Sam Ifeanyi Onuigbo. Thank you for coming, sir. All right, don't forget, you can reach us on our social media, ABN TV Facebook, ABN TV Instagram, ABN TV on YouTube, ABN TV on Twitter, or you can visit our site www.abntv.com.ng. Bye for now.